So I thought today we might talk about folk healing in a different way. Now, when most people think of folk healing, they think of physical conditions. But what I wanted to cover was folk healing as it's used in for like psychological healing, for psychological healing, emotional healing, anxiety, things like that. Was folk healing used for that? And the answer is yes. Folk healing isn't just about curing physical illnesses. I mean, for centuries, people all over the world have turned to folk healing to care for things like their emotions and their minds. And long before any of the modern medicine, communities created their own way to deal with things like depression, sadness, anxiety, stress, and all the other mental challenges you can think of. I mean, there was folk healing for these things, and they would often combine things from nature. There might be rituals, and it was important to have the support of others in the community to help bring about this sense of wholeness again, this emotional wholeness, this balance. So it took many things, from everyone coming together to turning to the forest to find ingredients for that. So the first part we're going to deal with then is the that turning to the forest part, herbal remedies for calming the mind. And they're one of the most common tools in folk healing. I mean, plants have been used for centuries to reduce stress and improve your mental health. Um, for for example, like chamomile tea. I mean, many cultures, including those in Europe and the Middle East, have used chamomile tea to treat anxiety and restlessness and sleeplessness for centuries. I mean, drinking this warm tea before going to bed actually helps relax the body and the mind, and it makes it easier to sleep peacefully. I mean, in the store, we actually have a tea called relaxing tea, and its main ingredient is chamomile. Now, it has some other stuff in it. I'm talking about the Aroma G store, and it has other things in it that also promote relaxation, um, to help with sleep. I think it has a valerian root in it. A couple things to make it taste better because that valerian root's in there. But yeah, chamomile is the main ingredient in that tea, and you can use that to not just if you're wanting to sleep. If people wonder, if I drink this in the daytime, is it going to make me go to sleep? No, um, but it does calm you down. So yeah, chamomile has been used for a very long time for that, for herbal, um, folk healing. You've got ashwagandha. I mean, it's an Indian Ayurvedic medicine, and it's known sort of, I think the word is adaptogen, meaning it helps the body adapt to stress. It doesn't relieve the stress, but it helps you adapt to it. And it's believed to reduce levels of anxiety and just improve your overall mood. And of course, you got lavender. I mean, it's used in many cultures. I turn to it for many things. It can be used as an oil. The herb can be used in tea, in sachets that you would place under pillows. You take the dried lavender buds, fill them with little baggies like tea bags, and sleep with them. So its calming scent is thought to help people deal with things like tension, feeling overwhelmed, just to calm you down. It works. Also, little tidbit: if you get a little bug bite, put a drop of lavender on it, and the itching will stop. Not emotional, but I want to throw that in there. But they work by interacting with the bodies in different ways that are more of a gentle approach. They offer this comfort and balance without you having to use like harsh chemicals. So it's pretty simple. I mean, chamomile, ashwagandha, lavender. That's just three. There are hundreds. And what's next? Like healing rituals to release emotional pain. Think of it as sort of the folksy way to do a little bit of psychology. Um, I mean, these folk healing rituals combine things like just speaking. It can be different movements, different forms of symbolism, something that's ritualistic to go through just to help with like emotional struggles. You can have things like talking circles. I mean, those are found in modern psychology too, but we're talking more on like on the village level of people coming together. But it's found in many indigenous cultures, talking circles. And they provide this safe space for people to share their feelings. So, sitting in a circle, all the people pass around a special object like a feather or a stone, and they take turns speaking. I think we've all seen, if you've not participated in it, there have been many TV shows that have shown a version of this with like a talking stick. So, that's the idea of it. Um, it keeps everyone in their place, sort of like you have the floor when you have the object, and others can't, interject or disagree with you. It's like the floor is yours during that time. So, it helps people feel heard and feel supported, and to get all this out of them to, release emotional burdens. So there's smudging. So there's a lot of controversy around smudging and whether you should or shouldn't do it, but you can pick all sorts of different plant materials according to your region or your culture. The indigenous tribes of North America use smudging as a way to cleanse the spirit. So other sacred herbs can be burned, and the smoke is sort of waft over a person or the environment, and it's said to clear away negative energy. And it often gives you this emotional clarity. It's sort of like pressing a mental reset button. You feel it when you're actually, it's smoke cleansing. So smudging is actually a ritual from the uh, Native American tribes. So smoke cleansing is a good word to use. There's also water ceremonies. I mean, the symbolic use of water is common in many, many cultures. For example, in some African traditions, washing oneself with water from a river is seen as a way to cleanse the emotional pain that you may be feeling. So the act symbolizes letting this hurt flow away and returns you to a state of peace. I just finished putting out a piece on my Patreon for my fortune teller level patrons, where it was all about a ritual going to the river and cleansing off negativity. This was based on an old spell found in the Harry Middleton Hyatt books, Hoodoo and Conjuration, the 5 volume of books, where I had updated the spell, sort of reworked it, made it longer. But yeah, it was all about going to the river and doing this very thing. There's also music and dance and art as a form of healing tools. I mean, creative expression is another key element of folk healing because there's songs, there's dances, and all these art forms that have been across cultures to process emotions and to release these pent up feelings that people have. You have healing drums. I mean, there's drumming circles. They're found in African, indigenous, and some Asian traditions, using these rhythmic beats to help people feel a sense of connection and inner calm. And they're using shamanic journey sessions, if you've ever experienced one of those. Drumming itself, you can do a drum for yourself, by yourself. And it's been shown to reduce stress and even lift the spirits of people who are facing depression. So drumming is good. Singing bowls would be another thing you could do. In Sufism, there's something called the whirling dance. So it's practiced in parts of the Middle East by Sufi mystics, and it's this deeply spiritual practice. So it's not just a dance, but a meditation. It's a way of spinning into this trance-like balance, which can clear the mind, and it brings inner peace to the participants, is what it does. So it's going into this trance-like state that through dance. Again, it's really that simple to explain. I think I was trying to overcomplicate it, but let's see something else. Mandala art. I mean, it's common in Hindu and Buddhist traditions where mandalas are these intricate designs filled with patterns and shapes. Um, the drawing and coloring these patterns is thought to promote focus thinking, reduce anxiety. They're coloring books with mandalas. I mean, the act of actually sitting down with a coloring book can actually bring you peace. It doesn't sound like it would, but it does. I mean, I think it sounds like it would. So all these forms of expression have allowed people to channel their feelings and find this mental and emotional relief through creativity. And I mean, I find that when I get stressed, that's when I need to sit down at my workbench and work on either painting or clay or some sort of artistic expression. Even doing these videos to me is a form of artistic expression for me. Because first I have to think of what do I want to talk about. And even the act of editing and coming up with thumbnails and things like that is to me still an artistic expression. And then finally, I want to talk about your community as a source of emotional strength. So one of the most powerful forms of healing isn't found in an herb or a ritual. It comes from people. And folk healing often relies on the support of like your family, your friends, your neighbors to help someone in need. Some examples would be like the communal mourning in Africa. So when someone passes away in many African communities, there's this large gathering that's held where people will sing and they'll cry or they'll share stories about the deceased. And this collective grieving process helps people release their sorrow and sort of feel less alone during this mourning process. You might find it similar maybe to a wake instead of a funeral, depending on your culture. Not something I want to do, but there is ayahuasca ceremonies in South America where they're actually guided by experienced shamans and they use this sacred plant to elicit emotional healing. And true, you have to go through a lot of physical part in this because it does induce vomiting and it's supposed to release all of the not just physical, we'll say gunk, but emotional gunk out of you. And a lot of people have found, a lot transformation and inner peace through this process and this ceremony. It doesn't sound appealing to me, but a lot of people have sworn by it, and I've known people have gone through that process. And there's also many Chinese practices that involve the whole household, where these families come together to perform things like these mental resilience practices in China, like Tai Chi or Qigong, both which they use movement and breathing exercises to promote calmness, which will reduce your anxiety. You find the same in meditation and guided meditation where the breathing is controlled. And all this collective energy of this group of people is supposed to promote healing and togetherness. So across all of these different practices, there's one big idea that stands out, and that's the importance of balance. Folk healing often sees emotional and mental health as being tied to balance in life. So whether it's the balance of work and rest, or your connection with others, or a balance of emotions, all these traditions teach that well-being actually depends on keeping things in harmony. So it takes the concept of yin and yang from Chinese traditions, which views like emotional well-being as a balance of these opposing forces. If one side dominates, like too much stress or too much sadness, it throws off your equilibrium and causes, in many people, a lot of emotional issues. So then you turn to things like practices like acupuncture and herbal tea to restore this balance and bring a person back to clarity. So, really, I mean, that's the gist of what I want to talk about today was folk healing for emotional pain, for anxiety. Um, it reminds us that these folk healing traditions are not just for the physical body, they're for emotional and psychological health. It isn't just about fixing, like I said in the beginning, a wound. It's about nurturing the mind, the body, and the spirit. And by preserving these traditions and understanding their deeper meanings, I think we can continue to grow and learn from folk practices. Many people don't turn to them anymore, thinking they're outdated, thinking they are of the, I don't know, the hill people or something. Um, but as you can see, folk healing is about the entire package. Like we said, it's about the mind, the body, and the spirit. I hope this has been helpful. This is Papa G, and my website is folkmagicstudio.com. And of course, our main company, if you ever need anything, is aromagees.com, Aromagees Botanica. So, like I said, I hope this has been helpful. You got something out of it. Um, so the next time you're feeling a little down, a little blue, turn to folk healing. Until next time, bye bye.